Good evening and welcome back to a very special edition of Beyond the Backstage Pass. I'm your host, Vince Edwards. You may know me from Sound Image Productions. I've got a couple closed Facebook roadie groups called Death by Loadout and the Backstage Pass. Come over. We're having some fun over there, getting up to some silly. Next to me, my good friend and co-host is Kyle Thomas. How are you doing, brother?
Not too bad. Another day, another dog biscuit.
Man, they just handing out dog biscuits to you, I swear. It must be because of all the good behavior and good works that you do, sir.
I would hope so.
Well, I am very proud to have you on the team. We're both recovering from a long few weeks in the trenches after a prolonged period of time off. I know that after this weekend, I slept until 1 on Monday.
I know, I didn't see you forever. I'm stuck in here. I got to play my own
no
music.
shame in the effort. I could hear people outside working on pulling down the big VIP tents and the catering tents and the COVID
you missed
tents.
all the fun stuff.
And I somehow I get busy, with this sleeping. No, man, I was wrecked after that thing. I don't know why. Just trying to the emotional energy of trying to be on and do well and cover everybody's needs and bases. And we had a lot of folks in the building and in a very COVID correct way. I don't like to get into that nonsense on the TV. We fully believe in the science and understand there's a thing going on. But
I think
how
funny that was, me and you trying to come up with, I had all these IEM packs and some mics, and I'm just dawned on me, I need to come up with a protocol. How do I hand these out? Do we do a disinfectant pad? So we ended up with a tray you'd bring out cocktails on.
It was a lid for a case,
it was
perfect. It was absolutely perfect. Take your pack,
But I was very happy I got that pitch off ideas to you.
It was very, very clever. Listen, we got some friends tuning in tonight that I want to just quickly shout out to. Our good friends from the infirmities, that's going to be Jason Anselmo Martinez. Thank you, my brother. The lieutenant's checking in. We love him. You know that. We got mad love for you, Lieutenant. And our good friend Pat O'Doul. Excuse me, Pat. I do that to you almost every time. I hit him with the Paul. but the big dog in the game for sure for me. And you know this. It's the Charlie Zaricki. Charlie, we love you. We hope you're doing well. Thank you for your continued support. You are a brother from another mother. We absolutely adore you. And then Clint Wensley has got a new thing. Can you scroll back for me a little bit? Let me see. He's got a new thing. So this is Crew Music Asia. This is an incredibly accomplished young man that gets up to some stuff. Look at Scott Chaney. Thank you, Scott. Hello, buddy. Winston. And our good friend Winston Dama. And
Winston,
now Clint, who is constantly on the make and doing new things. He's got his new project called Keep Live Alive. Let's support that. That's going to be something very interesting. We'll probably deal with that more in the future. And Dennis, I never get your last name right, so I'm just going to say hi to Dennis. Hi, Dennis. Thank you for being here. You come on a very special night. So we've had a really busy week. We had some wonderful people in here, some excellent artists and incredible technicians. We were doing the math on it, and to do this project, it was called the Big Love Benefit Concert. We had some real heavy hitters in that would have been off doing other things if life was normal right now, because they're just too valuable to be put in one place altogether. And it totaled up to, when we did the experience numbers on it, it was something like over 400 years of experience on the crew that we had in here.
Something like that.
It was kind of impressive. And I think you're going to see that. Hi, Chris Kennett. You're going to see that in the production when it becomes available. It's a really for a good cause and important stuff. Anything else you got to share tonight, buddy, before we go check in on our guests?
Yeah, I took this setup and we left our wireless racks and our IEM racks kind of set up. So when training does come back around for next week, we'll be able to start training people on Workbench and have the capability to kind of go through a little bit more than just the S6L. So.
Well, as we mentioned, training. We did a signal to noise podcast last night for some of our friends that have a pretty ongoing concern that's pretty killer, and I think they were in their 70th episode or something. So we appeared on that, and we mentioned that is a big thing to us here in this shop. If we can't be gigging, we can be training, and so. My stance on that, I highly support it. We just had Sue Kearney take off from spending the day playing around with the S6L and the Pro Tools rig. So
I just felt bad. There's so many people that have asked, why don't you have this set up? And it's all right, go into the cage, set it up yourself, go build a rack.
See, part of the training is that.
Yeah,
it's I often think when the guys come in to play on the rigs, I want to unplug everything. There's one thing about pushing the faders and turning the knobs, but if you can't plug it all in and wire it all up first, then I haven't trained you right.
You're not wrong.
I'm thinking maybe we don't make that too easy for them, and we find out where the deficits are, and we fill in the informational gaps.
Yeah.
And so, let's talk about more on how we proceed
I
going
just broke
forward
your
on.
plan, man. I'm sorry.
No,
I made
no,
it too
it's okay.
foolproof for everybody.
There's an ABC, there's a linear way of teaching, and it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and sure, for us, it's easier to just say the board's over there, go play, and when you get stuck, call us, and we'll help you out. But that's the lazy way to do it, and people don't all win. And our dear friend from Switzerland, Patrick, thank you for tuning in. We have a great show for you tonight. Let's get right to it. I have a couple of extraordinarily special people on the show tonight. We've been working with them the last many weeks. I'm not sure exactly how long because it's been so fun. It's just blended together and it's been extraordinarily enjoyable. They are out tonight promoting the aforementioned Big Love benefit concert. They have a couple things on out there in the ether, and we'll speak about them. Raven Drum Foundation, this really great page called the Big Love Army, a bunch of stuff. We'll get to it, but without further ado, let me introduce the one and only incredibly talented and lovely Lauren Monroe and Rick Allen. Good evening, folks. How are you this evening? It's so good to have you on the show. I can't thank you enough for coming out and spending some time with us. Let me ask you, how have you been doing during this last 9 months? This COVID-19 thing has hit us all, I think, regardless of position in life. It's just been tricky. How have you been doing?
Me, personally?
I will start directing questions, but this is an open question field to the two of you.
He's so used to just one guest.
But I have successfully interviewed more than one person, but it is tricky. It does divide you.
March and April was a little depressing.
Yes,
and
sir.
then when we, I think, really, when we started coming around to seeing how the industry was hurting, and you came up with this idea, it kind of gave me purpose. And I think that really just all came to a beautiful head, coming up here and doing the show and just working with all these incredibly talented people. And now I feel quite uplifted.
That's really great to hear.
Yeah.
I know I got a similar charge out of the ability for us to, well, first of all, the show is and the idea behind the show was that let's get some of our friends in here to play with the gear on that side of the camera.
Yeah.
Our friends that would otherwise be out doing your tour and working with some of the biggest bands in rock and roll. And let's talk to them about their experiences and let's share that with this, like I mentioned before, I have these groups. And so I've got these fish in a barrel a little bit with my roadie friends in these groups. And so this was always thought to be a companion piece, and it gave us a sense of purpose. And I know that as people, and we're going to touch on that. I wanted to speak to Rick real quick about the aforementioned you, sir, should be out with what would have been an amazing tour with Def Leppard, Motley Crue, and Poison, which would have involved
Joan Jett, of course.
I'm sorry?
And Joan Jett, of course.
Oh, and Joan Jett, the incomparable Joan Jett. She engineered one of my favorite albums of all time, the Germs punk rock album in 1981, which is like this seminal album. Joan Jett's a badass. And you would be out doing this amazing tour. Let me ask you, I know that's put a little hitch in your giddy up, but had to have to not be doing that right now. Is this something that's being rescheduled? What's the life of that? Is it still a thing?
We didn't cancel it. We just postponed it.
Yes, sir.
And basically took 2020 and superimposed that on 2021, and just hoping that the science and everything kind of lines up, and that we can basically start up where we left off.
Well, I know that was as tours go. I know Brad Maddox was going to be out front with one of our mates here in the shop was going to be out front with Motley Crue. Everybody in many of my friends were going to be out working with you guys, and it was supposed to be one of the biggest tours of the year. So I really hope that the science lines up and the timing and the band and everything comes back together, because that will be a show to be seen. That would be a phenomenal show.
I agree, and the whole vibe. We did press before everything hit the fan, and there was a camaraderie for sure, between all the bands that I'd never really felt before. You know, we've worked with all of them, you know, various times, but it was another thing to all be going out together at the same time. So, you know, it was and is still, you know, really special when it happens.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's going to be a sight to behold.
Very, very exciting. I mean, the lineup itself and the nature of these bands individually bringing such large shows, such amazing shows, combined in one tent, as it were, is going to be a spectacle. It'll be quite a sight to see, and so fingers crossed that comes back and we all get to see that.
Cool.
I can't go forward without mentioning. You happen to be the first guest. I've had some very interesting guests, and I'm proud of the luminary, the guest list that we've had. But my goodness, I have not had a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inducted guest before. That, by the way, was inducted with the largest fan vote in the history of the Hall of Fame. That's impressive. What did that mean to you?
I think that made it for all of us, was the fact that we realized that it was the fans that really swayed the whole thing in our favor. And, you know, I was telling you earlier, you know, to be honest, when I heard about, you know, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and that we had to go back to New York, it was somewhat of a, and I don't mean this to sound wrong, but it was a bit of an inconvenience because I just got off the road and I was really just enjoying being at home.
Sure.
So, you know, we all got on a plane and ended up in New York, and we started doing the press, and it was then that I realized that this is a really big deal. And, you know, getting to talk to Howard Stern, and that was really special for me. He seemed, you know, really engaged and really interested in you know, the band and me and what was going on. And then you know, the fact that Brian May was involved in.
Oh, he's the best.
I mean, you know,
Love Brian May.
No, he's such a humble soul. He's
The
just
professor.
Yeah. He's great.
He's
great.
incredible man.
So you know, fast forward to sort of standing on that stage and, you know, seeing the entire industry out there in front of me and feeling this love from the industry. It was like I was overcome by emotion.
Oh, I can only
So
imagine.
emotional.
Yeah.
So well deserved. I mean, your career has spanned 40 years. You know, this is not a rock interview show, but you guys really, I can't think of a better band. And I think the induction with the fan vote proves that you should be in there with Jimmy and Zepp and all these amazing bands, because you are part of an amazing band and right from the gate. And so the respect to you, sir, for
Thank
sure.
you very
Good
much.
stuff.
Thank you very much.
Let's move on to the Big Love benefit concert. Really, the thing that we put our hearts and souls into for quite a few minutes here now, and it's been a treat. It's been an absolute delight working with you. Let me ask you, Lauren, who came up with the idea for the Big Love benefit concert?
Well, the concert idea came from the song Big Love that I released.
A great song. I will say, that song is an earworm. That song gets in my head, and I'll be humming it out the door, and like, damn it, it's so catchy, it's so good, it's really a great song.
Thank you.
And so it's kind of the idea kind of spawned from the feeling in the lyrics in that song.
Yeah, it came from there. I mean, we set up our not-for-profit organization in early 2000, and we wanted to create events that brought people together. And we always had the idea we wanted to take it to another level and continue doing, raising money for various charities through music. And after we released the song Big Love, it just became almost like a movement and a brand. And we wanted to, we always have an annual concert every year to raise money for our foundation. But this year seemed there was a shift. And just Big Love was born out of that. I think the way the state of the world is, and right now it seemed to embrace the concept of loving people in a bigger way.
Well, you know, there has been a little bit of, I think I know what you're talking about. It's been a little, the public discord, the public back and forth. There's been a little bit of ugly in that, and our politics has been a little unpleasant, and then of course quarantine and all that goes with it. And there's been some good people that otherwise you'd know to be up and productive and happy have been struggling. And I just can't imagine a better time for this, or better representatives for it. And that your song "Big Love" is such lyrically. First of all, it's a melodic, wonderful, great song, and with some amazing playing on it. But the lyrics are really profound, and there's a lot going on there, and it's very impressive. We were talking a minute ago about. I was going to ask you about how the Big Love band, the band that played right here in this very space, came together, and you notified me, as amazing as they are, that you actually had a very short tenure with them. How did you cobble together your band? Because there were some incredible players. I mean, really great players. With your husband on the drums, killing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Well,
That was for you, by the way. That question. How did you come up with the band?
Some of the band members are from my record, when we recorded the record.
Yes, ma'am.
With Jim Scott at his studio in Santa Clarita. We recorded that in 2019, January 2019. And so they came up to play this past weekend to play for the benefit. And then we have some other people up here and close to the Bay Area, Tammy Brown and Dylan Rose. And they've been playing with me, doing acoustic things. And so we all kind of got together. I brought, we have my Lease and Greg Lease, and my typically plays with David Crosby. And Greg Lease has played with many people, but now he's, Jackson Brown's guitar player, and he plays pedal steel. He's amazing.
He's
legendary.
Badass. Yeah.
He's such a beautiful soul, and all of these players are.
Yes.
And of course, Brian Whelan on guitar, and he was on the record as well. And I just feel really blessed to have these guys play live with me for this event. It was fun.
Well, you could see they were really into it. I mean, they brought their best, and it was extremely well executed. I thought the alchemy, the chemistry that was between it, I could see in the recording and the rehearsals, and then of course the recording of the content that we were gathering for the show was fantastic. I really can't imagine it have gone better as it relates to the band, the music, the performances. It was extraordinary. Tell us what's the expectations you have for the Big Love benefit concert?
I think first is the awareness, is to get people. What goes on isn't just there and the band shows up. That starting very early in the morning, what happens, and very late at night after the band's already gone, there are still these diehard, road dogs and people who love their job that are there making it all happen. And from my experience, being behind the scenes with Rick and Def Leppard, and just seeing the mentality of crew and the heart of crew and how much love and dedication is put towards that show. And when we find out the hardship that's going on in the industry now, it was really important for us to say we have to do something. And of course, we heard of a lot of stress going on with anxiety and depression and suicide.
Yes.
And when we heard about that, it was a no-brainer. It's like, this year we have to create a benefit for them. It touched us very deeply.
That's very clear, and you couldn't be more right. Now, on the thing about people not knowing about what we do, I think is a testament to us doing it well. Because I don't want you to know what I do. I have no earthly right to be in front of a camera. This just never was my idea of a good time. I'm trying to make it that way, and I'm learning to enjoy it. But I spent decades trying to not. If I did my job right, you didn't know that. You just had a good show, and hopefully you walked away with some good memories and a great time. And that was the idea. And I think maybe we did that too well, because now that we're in this very unique global situation, and I think we need some understanding and what you're doing to help kind of shine the light on that, because there's many different disciplines that it takes to put a show like Def Leppard's show on. It's a small army, certainly a family, and so
every show.
Yeah. Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. From the speaker on the stick stuff to the weddings to I don't think people the average person understands what an average sound company does, but we do from regular weddings to multi-million-dollar weddings to giant corporate events to smaller things to the local radio station's show in the park to Def Leppard.
Yeah.
And to us, it's just work. We're just doing the job of trying to go out there and do what we love and help provide memories and help provide a perfect show.
And do
I
it as
will
well as
say-
you possibly can. You
Yes,
know?
sir.
Sorry, Kyle, what you said?
With the backing of losing 10 of our brothers recently, and having your music be the backing of this movement speaks volumes. It's something that's really overlooked, and we've had great discussion about this topic. It's something that's like hit me really hard, knowing that like my friends and people that rely on this line of work to define who they are to be struggling so tough. So it's a really great like conjunction of these two great ideas, and it's
And that's
really
another reason why we
appreciated.
wanted to do it, is because we need to raise funds for people, because people are in financial hardship and emotional hardship. And
Yes.
I think something we spoke about earlier is about really looking at self-worth and identity and purpose. And when you strip someone away from their passion and their job that they've known for a very long time, and their family, because it's a family that
That's right.
tours and does this type of work. It's painful, and the distractions are few, and you're left looking at yourself, and it's hard to do that, especially if you have trauma to begin with. And from our experience working through our foundation and working with PTSD and trauma, we see there's a path that we can help. And the financial is one piece, and also supporting like Sweet Relief, who supports mental health, so that people can find someone to talk to and have that paid for.
Yes.
Because sometimes it just takes sharing. And I know
Can be that simple sometimes.
it is, but
Yeah.
a lot of the personalities that we know, crew guys and
Yeah.
women,
Yeah.
they're like working with the military.
A little bit.
And we all carry a certain amount of pride, and they we wanted to be able to share their pain with them and give them a path. Say, we can help.
It's very kind and very sweet thought, and I think that we're on our way. I think the Big Love Army page that you have on Facebook, which I find delightful and try to contribute to here and
Me
there,
too.
and
Thank you.
do my little thing with that, has been very sweet. And I notice it's growing rapidly. It seems to have gotten some traction and doing
What
well.
a great way to wake up and see, everybody, just throwing love out there as opposed to hate,
And supporting
Yeah.
one another. A lot of strangers are on the site, on this group page.
Yeah.
But you see someone coming out with, I'm having a hard day, and and other people just there to
That's
make them
right.
feel better. And I think we all need a little bit of that.
A little loving affirmation
Yeah.
goes a long way,
Yeah.
and I feel like your page is accomplishing that. And whose idea was that, by the way, to come up with the page?
I don't know. I might have mentioned it.
Listen, I take credit for everything I do, all the bad and good. So that was you, I bet. Yeah, it's been really well realized. I have some history with building pages and administering them. And my page, I'm pretty strict on what's allowed to be there, so it's specific to the topic, and we stay on topic, and it makes it so it's more fluid, so it's not clunky. It's
Yeah.
not a lot of spots that you're going to want to skip over. You're going to hopefully be interested. And I know it's whoever's administering your page, which I suspect is you.
No, it's not me. I contribute, but I'm not techie.
Yeah. You have somebody else administering the page?
Yeah, they help me.
Well,
yeah, for sure.
it seemed like they're doing a very good job, and they
Yeah.
understand the message that we're trying to kind of gather up in one place, so that
Yeah.
people, can come to it and have positive affirmations, and it's very sweet. And I highly recommend, if you folks haven't seen it, go to Facebook. It's called Big Love Army. It's a very sweet place to be, and there's a lot of good stuff going on. Go check it out. You mentioned Tammy Brown a minute ago. I hadn't worked with Tammy before, and I got to see her on a few occasions here singing with you. What a voice of the soul in that woman. And then she brought her choir in, this
Yeah.
choir,
Yeah.
and together in concert, in combination with what you were doing with your, it's delicious, fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a gem. She's special. She is
Really wonderful.
She's all heart and soul, and she has, besides her extreme talent, she's such a compassionate, beautiful person.
Oh,
So,
extremely delightful
Yeah.
to interact with and to converse with, and then to watch her perform, and to watch her kind of helm the choir, her understanding of music and her ability to get everybody in their spot and to bring their best. It was really quite. I move around a lot while we're doing these things, and I'm covering a few bases. But in that moment, when we set them up across the stage, I parked myself and I just studied and watched and learned and listened and took it in. It was fantastic. It was really beautiful.
oh, that's so great.
It was very emotional for me.
I bet.
There's something about strings played in a certain way, or piano and gospel choir.
Yeah.
For me, it's something. I can't help myself but shed a tear.
It hit you in a sweet spot.
Yeah.
No, I understand. Now.
So-
I very, very much understand. I found myself being very reflective in the moment and kind of just, I think my eyes may have closed in a second. I kind of just let it waft over me because there was some really beautiful harmonies being hit, and when they went into that one, the name eludes me now, even though I announced it.
Oh, you've been singing it. She's been singing it all week.
I know.
So,
I just,
We will
I just-
overcome?
I
yes.
think it was we will overcome.
We shall overcome.
We
We
shall
shall
overcome.
overcome.
Oh my God, that version of that, and I've heard
Yeah.
that done many ways in many different avenues and types of approaches to that song. Wow.
I
mean,
know. I mean, just totally
Wow.
unaccompanied.
was
You know,
great.
a cappella, and their intonation, everything. It
Yeah.
was just
Yes, Fitz.
It was spotless. It was absolutely spotless.
very cool.
Let me ask you, what, if any, connective tissue is between the Big Love Benefit Concert and the Facebook group known as, and this is a closed, more or less roadie Facebook group, but it's really for anybody that needs help. It's called the page known as Loving Hands for Stagehands. Is there a connective tissue to that's happening with the Big Love Concert? It seems to be something going on there.
Well, we'd like to be. We'd like to be able to support anyone on Loving Hands, because we just want to extend the family. We want to be a support
Yeah.
for those who need even just a reference or just to want to explore ways to help heal themselves.
Yeah.
And I think so many of us are looking for that and don't know where to start.
Well, I've read that there is serious topics and feelings and emotions that have arisen from this unique situation we find ourselves in, and so I think it's the semi-marriage that's good and the energy that's being shared between us. I think between the groups is probably mutually beneficial. I would think, and
I think so.
it's a kind of a testament to you guys to allow that kind of thing to happen, and we certainly appreciate it as a group. Me somewhat right now representing roadies and general technicians in the live audio industry, the live entertainment industry. We appreciate it a great deal. Thank you for that. That's very sweet.
It's the least we can do.
Well, and that's what I feel like anything that we contribute that is positive going in that direction in this subject for these people that we work with closely and that I've come up with in my whole life, that is beneficial in a positive direction is a good thing.
I've been supported by this business since 1978. It's, like I say, it's the least I can do. I felt really blessed, and I want everybody else to feel that way.
Well, that's very
We all
sweet.
deserve it.
Well, and you, Lord knows, for you to be where you are now, you have worked your heart out. You have been there and back and worked, just done and seen. And for you to be such an amazing and gracious ambassador for the whole of rock and roll, the whole of from backstage crew to the artists, it's a little tip of the hat to you, my friend. It's very
appreciate
impressive,
that.
and we appreciate your larger concern for the whole of us.
Yeah, I'm that guy. I come in the morning and say hello to everybody, and I enjoy getting to know what other people do in and around supporting what I do.
Yes.
And it's cool. You meet some of the best people.
It's a very lucky industry that we find ourselves in, and when everything's going great, heck, even when it's not going exactly perfect, it's still pretty great.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I feel blessed myself. Can you share with us your belief in the power? And I know this is a big thing for you, and I just can't agree with you more. It's harder for me to reach it for myself because there's something in my character that's old school Italian, I am an island thing, but it doesn't always serve me well. Can you share with me your belief in the power of therapy for the body and mind?
Well, therapy is a big word. It's an umbrella.
Maybe I'm not getting the right word, but I know that you believe in the power of the body and mind for the overall well-being of the
Yeah.
self.
I think, you know what, I'm Italian. I grew up in Queens with an Italian family, Catholic Italian. I understand the limitations that we have sometimes around healing and surrendering, especially as a guy too. Like I think I grew up like a guy because I had that thing where.
Yeah.
But I got broken open from my experience of spirituality, and I realized that the most powerful thing you can do is to be vulnerable. And that's so contradictory than everything I've ever learned in my Italian culture.
Sure.
It's like, tough it up,
Yeah.
like don't share your emotions. You just, and
I understand.
and I think I had to get past a lot of those things, and I had experiences in my life that showed me the more I broke my heart open and I shared it, the stronger I got, and the more people I can help. And so the body and the mind was a path for me to study that was safe. And so, that's okay to talk about mind, our neurological processes, neuroscience, about study of the body, how the body hangs on to energy. These were safe grounds to talk about.
Sure.
And anybody can understand that. And now science really speaks about how the body and the mind are so connected. You can't have an emotional trauma or situation happen. The body records all that. It's a computer.
That's right.
So if you don't talk about it or release it, it's in there. And it will show up at some point. So that's one way I really feel like it's important to look at what we're feeling and thinking and stuffing, because we have to find a way to release it. And sometimes we can do that in life, and sometimes we need help. And you could share that with a doctor or a therapist or an acupuncturist or a spiritual healer, or do it through your art and music, and do it through your sports, but there has to be a way that you consciously move it out. And so that it's become my journey really since I was a child, to learn how to articulate that in a way so anybody could embrace it, and it doesn't have to be woo-woo thing.
Sure.
Because I'm a spiritual healer. That's what I do, and it's all the woo-woo,
The
woo-woo crap.
The
I'm sorry,
stuff that makes
I
some of
hate
us
that.
a little uncomfortable,
Yeah, because it's not, and I had to wade through that with my Italian family.
Sure, Oh, there she goes again.
Right, but again, it all comes down to grace and this power that we have surrounding us, that we tap into this love. Everybody can feel it. It doesn't matter what religion you are or what, denomination you want to believe in or not, or you could be atheist, and it's energy. It's all this very powerful thing. And artists know what this is. And people who are sensitive and creative know what this is, as well as people that feel like they're shut down and don't believe in that stuff. Well, they know what it is too. We just have to find an appropriate word
Right.
to name it.
I agree.
So I think all of this is really important to talk about, It's in and out of us. It flows between us while we're talking right now.
You bet.
There's a connection that's happening. And the people that are watching now, there's a connection that's happening because we are engaged in this kind of energy and discussion. And we're all very connected.
Is music for you one of the paths that you choose to kind of exercise some of these, your spiritual side?
It is.
Yeah.
Because it flows through music. It flows through the voice. And when you do this with intention, it's really magical, and it really can heal people. We've found that out in our drumming with people, and I do it with my songwriting. When I'm on stage, it's a sacred experience for me, and I'm able to create that in an audience situation. And through all the drumming that we've done with people, music disarms people so that we can relax and be together.
Yeah.
And once we're disarmed and once we're able to be in that space, then mystical things happen. And it's beautiful to watch that unfold.
Oh, I'm sure that's got to be great. Well, that kind of brings it around to your foundation, Raven Drum. You guys have done some really wonderful things in the editing together of some of the promotional stuff that we're doing for the Big Love Benefit Concert. I've been able to learn more about the many really kind, sweet efforts that you guys put out into the world. Talk to me about the Raven Drum Foundation. What is the mission of the Raven Drum Foundation?
No, you go ahead.
Oh.
You're doing fine.
Okay.
You're doing great.
Thank you.
I'm just eye candy.
Oh.
Yeah, you're pretty. It's a very pretty panel tonight, I have to say.
Well,
Raven Drum Foundation.
we started the foundation in 2001, started doing programs the following year. And it started because of both of our paths when we met. You know, Rick went through his injury. One of the paths that he chose for his own healing was just drumming and putting himself into it. And I won't speak for you, you can talk about this, but how the drums helped heal him.
Sure.
And my path was also as a musician, but also as a healer, energy medicine practitioner, massage therapist. I was a teacher. And we got together and we both wanted to help people. And so we started drumming with various groups of people who were in crisis. And we saw that this works for anybody. So we created the foundation to do that. And we started working with special needs kids. We worked with kids in juvenile detention, boys in lockup.
Wow.
Especially gang members that were in jail. And we saw that from the special needs kids to these kids in lockup to cancer, kids surviving cancer. We went into safe houses working with women and kids that were suffering from domestic violence.
My goodness, you guys have really done some amazing stuff.
Well, we saw that it's everybody needs this. There's no like exclusivity when it comes to drumming and healing and mindfulness and being together. And it moved along to when Rick went to Walter Reed Medical Center to do a tour.
That was my next question about veterans. I know that you worked with veterans. That's a place that is
Veterans and PTSD and TBI and so 2006, right? Yeah. And I went over to Walter Reed and there was a lot of suffering. But I also saw huge potential. And the fact that we all had this common thing that we could share. I'm sitting there, in my physical state, and they're all going through their various physical sort of challenges.
sure.
And they were in it.
They were right in it.
And they were fresh to it.
It was gnarly,
right?
and I mean, some of the injuries were just,
They're still in
IED type
shock.
stuff, and like you said, traumatic brain injuries, these type of really, really tough war stuff, basically.
Oh God!
Yeah.
I mean,
Awful.
just
Traumatic.
really shocking. So I held it together, and then I finally, made it back to the hotel with all this information, and I got on the phone with Lauren, and I just broke down. I was just sobbing. I was like, we've got to refocus. We've got to do something, and that's really when Project Resiliency came about, right?
Yeah, that's when we both went back a few months later, and we went to our board and was like, we need to create something special for vets. And it's PTSD is an interesting thing that it's combat trauma for veterans, but Rick has PTSD from his car accident, and you can have PTSD from an abusive parent
Or a sports injury.
or a sports injury,
Absolutely.
or it's so many people have it and have gone through it, and so many people get stuck in it, and can't find their way out of it. That we started really looking at that and how can we help, and discovering programs that really help PTSD. And one of them is equine therapy, working with horses. We neurofeedback, and of course, both of us were like guinea pigs of all these treatments to see how it would affect us.
Yeah, they kind of, they go like, well, Rick's he's not quite, he's not well. Yeah. Let's let him go and try it out, see if it works, So
there are so many things.
But I did. One of the things that I particularly loved was working with the horses. We didn't ride them, but you had to get in the ring with them, and some people would get in there and be like, I can control this, and I'm going to dominate the horse, and not going to happen.
No.
I figured it out. I got in there and just kind of stood there and let the horse come to me.
Sure.
Well, we had that experience with training. We went into a ring with wild horses.
Wow.
And one of the things that they taught us there is that the horses are like a mirror, a biofeedback machine. They are biofeedback machines. So what you're feeling, they will mirror. So if you're feeling, I'm going to control you, they're gonna feel that and they're not gonna come to you. So you have to open your heart.
I bet.
You have to soften.
And that was and so that in itself was just like, that's a spiritual teaching, and you're seeing that with a horse, and a lot of animals do that.
Sure.
And so when we were working with the military, that's one of the things that we would do. We would bring them to equine therapy retreats, and we would do drumming with them, because drumming is also a way to help reprogram your brain.
Interesting.
Yes, the bilateral motion.
Left and right.
And as you set out intentions and breathe and use mindfulness, you're giving your brain a reset.
Wow.
So it's that, and the interaction with the horses and learning about how to open. These are two of the pathways that we introduced to veterans, as well as neurofeedback, which is a very significant, powerful way you can help reprogram or reroute the trauma in your brain.
Not familiar with neurofeedback. Equine therapy, and it makes perfect sense. What's neurofeedback?
Neurofeedback is a treatment where you look at they study your brain and how it fires and the pathways that it takes in relationship to how you think and feel and how you respond to anxiety and stress. And so when you're in a place of trauma, say you're a combat vet, and you had an experience in combat, your brain, the moment that you say were shot at or you lost a limb, your brain is set to remember that trauma, and it doesn't shut off. So you're in that loop.
Oh, I bet.
Over and over and over again. So when you say you hear a car backfire, you think it's artillery. And so your brain doesn't know the difference of what's real and what happened to you. So when you reset the brain in that way, you show it new pathways. You reroute it to its normal state.
Very interesting.
So you're able to deal with stress better. You're not set off and have triggers the way you did. You sleep better. And actually, neurofeedback, especially this one it's called EEG Institute in LA, they do extremely well in treating suicidal tendencies.
Wow.
Because that's another form of PTSD. You start to think about those things. You can't control the need to, take yourself out. And once that urge is gone, you can start really healing. So these are big things. Also, diet, nutrition to help with trauma. It's huge. I mean, because you can't be drinking Red Bull and coffee and be traumatized. It's just going to trigger you. You're going to be, your nervous system is already amped out, and then you're going to drink that.
That makes perfect sense.
So there's a lot of things that, they're just simple things that you can do to help with trauma. And I get very passionate about this, so well,
it's an incredibly important subject, and I would think to be involved with it, you'd have to be passionate about it and try to influence people you have gained a great amount of knowledge so it somewhat becomes incumbent upon you to share that with people and the things that work in a society with caring people. And the Project Resiliency thing, I have a special place for anybody that goes out and defends my right to be free and to speak freely and to live the life that I lead, and for them to come back. Sometimes I worry that our country is grateful one way and not when they come home as much. And I struggle with that a great deal. So to hear that you guys are doing such good works with these incredibly deserved, incredible Americans, that's a very special thing. I'd like to thank you for your efforts on this subject, on this issue, because these are incredibly important people that all too often somewhat seem to be forgotten on the coming home side
Yes.
of the equation.
And their spouses.
Yeah.
And
Oh
their
my gosh.
children.
Right.
Yeah, the ripple effect within families, like secondary trauma, is very real.
Oh,
Very
no,
real.
no doubt about that. I've often heard that about the spouses of active duty military. They're in it in their own right, and it's quite the road to hoe. So, hats off to you again. Good stuff, guys. Really great. I got to work with a couple of your team members that I found to be absolutely delightful. If you don't mind us talking about it for a second, with Jeff Diffner, who is
Jeff's amazing.
just a great guy. He's your drum guy. He's your drum tech, but he's also clearly your friend and a big fan and a supporter of your efforts and what you're doing. And I think in both of your cases, and maybe more so yours, is Jennifer. I might be getting this wrong.
Jennifer Buzza.
Buzza.
Yes, she's one of our directors.
Just,
yeah.
Wonderful. They came in during the different goings on and were absolutely, they availed themselves to what we could do with them, and then I saw them being very supportive of your interests and what was going on. Found them to be quite fascinating.
Their family.
Their family, would you call them family?
Yeah,
for
we've been with them for 15 years. now.
Yeah. Jeff, he feels like a brother. I never say that he works for me. I always say that we work as a team. We're a team, because I'm only as good as good as he is. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I could see the camaraderie between you. I could see it almost second the way that you talked and didn't have to talk in some ways about things, and there was
it's a nod. He knows. He's reached that level where we don't even really need to talk about it. There's a certain standard, and the standard is high.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So all the work we've done for years, it prepared us perfectly for doing this. The only problem is, Lauren
Had done it without him.
I understand completely. He's a very versatile, very affable, very talented young man.
He really
Yeah,
is.
he is.
I think me and him spoke, not to go too far off topic, but I think we spoke, and with your permission, I think he might be a guest in the near future on the show.
I hope
I
so.
would
He-
love
he
to
would
hear
love that.
his career that he spent with you, and I know he spent a long time with Hart and
Yeah.
some other things, and he's a fascinating cat, and I think it'd be very interesting to spend a few minutes talking with him and sharing his experiences.
Such a gentleman.
Great. Oh,
Yeah.
he is.
Yeah, it was a treat to work with. It was probably one of the few people that was outside of our circle. A lot of the guys that worked on the project with us were guys that we work with routinely, and we have kind of a secondhand thing going on where we kind of read each other's minds to some degree, and Jeff fit right into that. It was.
Vinny, he brought me peanuts.
He brought this one peanuts. All right. Listen,
That's
you
the
can
key.
you can go far with him with food. I tell you what.
Bring the puppy treats.
We started out talking about biscuits, and it's just he's,
As skinny as I am, I love food.
oh my God, like
Now I
it's crazy. We'll eat together, and I'm 254 pounds, 6'2", and he eats twice, 3 times the amount of food while I'm still in the middle of my burrito, and he's like finishing up, kind of with a napkin. And it's like, my God, does he have a hollow leg or something? I'm not really sure where he's putting it all, but I think it's just a metabolism thing. Mine shut off at 47, so I'm kind of fear food at this point. I might as well just tape it directly to my ass. It's just one of
You took
those
my
things.
line.
No, I know. And then
I stole that from my wife.
Oh, yeah. See, we think alike.
You're my
us-
wife.
us
It's,
women.
I think you would love my wife. She's a sweet, sweet woman.
that's cool. You should talk about Jennifer as well. Jennifer's been with
Yeah,
us
she
for a
was
long
delightful.
She's
She
we've been
was a
her,
treat
with
to
her
have on set.
16 years. Yeah, she is a very, very organized and lovely person to work
Unlike
with.
us.
Unlike hey, speak
You're
for
lovely,
yourself.
maybe not organized. I don't know. I thought you were organized when we were working together, but somehow it's the team, and she's critical to your mission. Sounds like.
She really is.
Yeah, she was really helpful in the bringing together the different elements, because there was a lot going on here as we were, working this all out and making it happen. And she was absolutely it was amazing how quickly she fit into the system, and we just felt kind of like a family getting it done, and she was a treat to work with. It was absolute pleasure having
It was awesome seeing the couple worlds blow up in the middle of the show slightly, and then you see her come over with this big smile, and it's like, okay, different energy, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's good like that. She
Whisperer.
knows, she knows how to do that.
That's an important.
It's a
they call
skill.
me here in the building. They call me. My actual name is the George Whisperer, but it actually. It's true. It's absolutely
Your brother,
true.
right?
Yeah. But it actually works with the John Whisperer, and there's some other ones I need to get with once in a while and say, hey, buddy,
Yeah.
let's bring it down about 1,000 feet. Come on now, it's all good. And that's a place, that's a job for some of us. That's important. That brings some of the higher energy guys, that the creative types that are just going, doing. Sometimes they need a little leveling and
Gotta grind them
a
out.
little bit of support.
There you go. George chimed in. He said, Jen hugged me when I cried.
My brother is equally. He has this is something that's come out late in his life. Coming up, we used to, get in the mix and do 200 shows a year and travel together for, gosh, I would say 16 years straight. We really had an active career together, and it was hard to move him emotionally. As he gets older, he gets closer and more in touch with his emotional side. I think maybe it was having the kids and the whole thing, and it's kind of sweet to see him to access that part of him and to allow it to be. He's very gracious now and very sweet and caring. It's kind of parental, it's like a paternal, I guess is the right word for the crew and the way he sees what we do. And
I see that.
He's Big Papa, he's the coach.
I love that.
And we just want to try to get in the game. We're always, hey, better get us in the coach game. Yeah, let's get us in the game, coach. He's a sweetheart of a man. I wanted the Big Love thing's coming. Keep an eye out for it. We'll continue to give you more information. Check the interwebs where there's going to be marketing for it, and you'll see that I do this every week on the show, and we'll keep you up to date when it's coming, and it's going to be wonderful, and you're going to love it. But I wanted to get to something so in doing the Big Love concert with you, the whole process, I got to hear a bunch of your music, which was really quite striking, and so let's move over. You got an album coming out called Under the Wolf Moon. It's slated for release on January 22nd, 2021.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah. Well, I created it. We started tracking it in January of 2019 with Jim Scott.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 12 songs now. And they were written at various times. Like Big Love was written in 2016, and I have another song, Blue, that was written in early 2000s. I've been waiting a while to release music for various reasons. And when Jim Scott said he would take me on and we would do a record together, I was really excited. And he's one of my biggest advocates. So I went in and he said, let's get you a really good band. What do you think about...
Don't jump ahead on this one for me.
What?
Hang back. Let me read, because this is going to... Excuse me. This is going to fuck with you. Their band is some shit. Let me read a review. I got a review. I'd like to read that.
French on the show.
I told you I was fluent in French, brother. I mentioned this. But I read a review that I thought summed it up well, really well. It was by Ken Sharp. And it really, and I extracted a couple of the quotes from it. Let me see if I can do this justice. I was entranced and surprised and seduced by the unexpected musical treasures within. Monroe's voice leaves a mark with an arresting and dynamic collection of reflective songs built on sturdy grooves, a sparkling melodicism, and a deep well of thoughtful lyrics that resonate and delivered her song in impassioned voice. It brought to mind, and reviewers can't help themselves but to make comparisons. It's a way to help the listener or the person reading the view kind of set a mindset for it. And he made comparisons with the great Sheryl Crow, kind of meets Shania Twain with a huge helping of Lauren Monroe. I just thought that was such a level, and that was kind of my take on it too, is that the lyrics are so thoughtful. The music is atmospheric in a way that there's a feeling associated with it more than just but at the same time melodic and groove laden, and it was just really great. And you were able to do that with an all-star cast of straight up badasses in the studio. I mean, you really nailed it. This was you say your producer helped you acquire these guys, and of course.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He
Well,
just handpicked him.
Jim worked with. Well, I'll let you.
Well, I can name the lineup here because it's an incredible lineup. On your album, it included, of course, is your lovely husband Rick Allen doing some of the drum parts, Bentmont Trench and Steve Ferrone from Tom Petty. I mean, Bentmont Trench, come on, what the
I know.
hell, dude? If you want the best keyboard guy in the game and the sweetest, just wonderful guy, Kenny Aronoff, the one and only Kenny Aronoff from Mellencamp and Fogerty and God knows everything else. I mean, Kenny is just.
He's played on everything.
He really has. I mean, Kenny is
And
just.
he's such a great human.
Isn't he? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
this Kenny Aronoff, man. I mean, geez, Louisiana doesn't get much better than that. We mentioned the great Tammy Brown. I suspect is she on some of the vocals of her?
She is.
Yeah, she's again just a belter, a great voice, and then the one and only Waddy Wachtel. You had Wachtel on this thing.
Telling the story of
That's
how,
Linda
how he got on the
Ronstadt,
record.
Stevie Nicks, Keith Richards. This guy is a guitarist. He's a monster of a guitarist. He's incredible. You got a story about that?
I do. It was on the
So
Rock
at the
and
Hall
Roll
of Fame.
Hall of Fame. You know, he played with Stevie at the show.
Yeah.
And there was an after party that happened, and we didn't get there till like 1. That's when it started at 1. We're all there, and everyone's having cocktails, and there's people singing on pianos, and it was just such a great vibe. And I kept looking at Waddy during the show, going, he's so familiar. Because I grew up in Queens, and I thought I recognized him from the neighborhood or something. So
Sure.
we were standing next to each other, and I said, you know, he looks so familiar. Did you grow up here in New York? And he's like, I did. I said, I did too. And we started. He's like, I don't think we've met before. I said, I'm with Rick, and he's like, well, what are you doing? And anyway, I ended up telling him I'm working on a record. And he's like, oh yeah, well, who's in it? And I said, you know, Steve and Benmont and Rick and
You mentioned Bob, right?
and Bob Glob.
Bob was Jesus.
Yeah.
I adore him.
Yeah,
And he's
he's
like,
a
all those
great bass
guys are
player.
playing. I should be on your record.
What?
And I said, I was like, yeah, that's so funny. I was
It's
like,
clearly an
yeah.
oversight.
He said yes, and he came and played on Big Love and a couple of other songs. And I like Waddy. He likes to say the word fuck a lot.
Fucking Waddy.
Apparently every other word.
Yeah.
He's an incredibly accomplished musician. He's a hell
I
of a
love
guy.
him.
Yeah, I'm with you. Anybody that speaks
Am I not
my
supposed to say that?
No, because, okay, let's talk about this just for a second. Fuck is an amazing word. In the
Have to
English
use it in the right
language.
way.
No. It can be used in every way. There is no emotional response, regardless, across the board. There is no, it is the most descriptive word, depending on, and this you can say, it's, God, I fucking love you. You know, there's so many ways to put that word into play that I just find it to be this incredible. I still to this day.
So versatile.
It is incredibly versatile, functional word in the English language. You cannot allow it to be taken out of the game. It is just too valuable. So this is my take on that. You know, whatever.
Fits into your me do now language.
and it works well in my approach to getting the job done in an
Yes.
efficient manner, which sometimes is very loving fuck. It's not always a nasty, you know. Again, because it can be used that way. Excuse me. Here. So, am I correct in this? I mean, you write all the lyrics for your music.
I do.
There's some really beautiful lyrics. There's some really great stuff there. Some thinker stuff. That song Blue you mentioned, great song. There's some really sweet stuff. I highly recommend folks that on January 22nd, 2021, when this album comes out, that you get out there and you get this sucker. This is a beautiful album. It's an incredible culmination of work with extraordinarily talented production and people behind it. It's really something that should be enjoyed by everyone. And I think there's a kind of a crossover thing that goes on with your work, that you're hitting a lot of bases in a given song. You're covering a lot. You check off a lot of boxes. And for the listener, I was with him after rehearsal on Saturday. I guess it was a following day. Maybe it was a Wednesday thing. I don't know. But we were listening to one of your tracks. He had just mixed it up and tightened it up, and he asked me to take him throw the earphones on, and take a listen and see what I thought of his mix and what you guys had captured. And I came away and I pulled the headphones off and I looked at him and I said, God damn, that woman's got a hell of a voice. It was the first, it just was my natural, it just came out like, and I noticed you had a beautiful voice before that, but the clarity of hearing in that mix, and I asked him what he had done to the mix, and he showed me, and it was almost nothing. He'd barely, he had adjusted the bass line a little bit. He had, it was very slight.
He had a beautiful mix for us. I mean, the way we were hearing it. And I have to tell you,
Do people know what Kyle does?
Kyle is, I believe people know what Kyle does. Kyle Thomas is a badass A1. He'll do monitors, he'll do front of house equally and excitedly. And for a young man of, what are you going on, 30?
I'm 30 years young. Yeah.
But and for that, we didn't usually, in the old days, we didn't give a lot of credit to the younger kids. That we felt they needed a few more gray hairs and stuff before we'd put them in these critical positions. This one, sharp as a tack. He's really good at what he does.
Yeah, we were all extremely happy and just
Yeah.
very innovative, and he came with his own ideas of what would make a great mix, and it was such a relaxed sort of way to play, and just being able to hear the band the way I could. It was really well done.
Well, thank you very much. That means a lot.
Yeah, he's a sharp kid, and the young guys nowadays, you kind of have to throw out the old school rule on this one. Us older guys have, because some of these youngsters, like Mike Brown here behind, that's doing all of our technical work on that side. These guys are sharp. Some of these guys, we've really lucked into some really incredibly well trained. And what's nice about it is, when we were coming up, there was some different things in the mix. There was some groupies, there was some drugs, there was some bad behavior going on, and we thought we were so cool, and some of the kids nowadays, the drug issue doesn't seem to be as big an issue. The groupie thing is virtually non-existent. These are actually beneficial things for our industry. And then as the technology ramps up and gets more technical, more cerebral, it's a much different challenge.
The learning curve is
my
pretty
goodness.
steep.
And with these young guys, because they kind of came at digital and from the gate, it's not alien to them. It's really a great fit. So I've lucked out in some of our positions. Some of the folks that we have in the shop and that do the work for us are relatively young folks, between 30 and 40, that just are amazing. And it's a really nice thing to see. And they don't seem to carry a lot of the baggage that some of the older school heads that at their time when they were 30 and they were 40, that were struggling with, that have since, most of us have grown up and
We're learning from you guys. We don't want to become grumpy roadies. Grumpy sound engineers are the worst. Just stay positive.
God. There's actually a Facebook group called Grumpy Roadies.
Fantastic.
It's a thing because it's a thing. So it's.
I've met a few of them.
I know you have. I know you have. I really would like to. First of all, I'm really glad you guys came out. I would like to make one stop before we bail out here. And that is, with your permission, is to thank some of the crew members that it took to bring together the Big Love benefit. It was quite an ensemble of folks, and if you don't mind, I'd like to take a second to give them a shout out.
Honor.
Just a little.
We would love for you to thank them.
All right, guys. Listen, I'm not kidding when I say that we've had some premier talent working on this Big Love benefit concert with the Allens. If a bomb would have went off in this building, we would have lost some serious rock and roll history in here.
Some gold nuggets.
I mean, we really, really would have. Let me go through if you can bear with me a second, let me go through the list. We had the great and legendary Scotty Ross. I'm not going to give you all. You look him up if you don't know who these people are. Scotty Ross is a god in this business.
Nicest guy in rock and roll.
He is actually known as the nicest guy in rock and roll, and I love Scotty Ross. Greg Price of an amazing A1 to some of the biggest rock bands in the world. He actually was a producer and director on this, and although I think we taxed him a little bit, and Greg had to come out with a whip once or twice. We were lucky to have him in that position.
He rose to the occasion.
Yeah,
for sure.
he really did. He was a little outside his normal area, and he really brought things together in a way that I don't think they could have otherwise come together. And we thank Greg Price for that. We had the one and only, the great Rush's guy, Brad Maddox, doing the master on this thing. Anytime you can get Brad Maddox to work for you, you're already ahead. And Brad Maddox was behind the controls, taking in the audio on this thing, and as a result, when you guys come to view this, your audio experience is going to be superlative. It's going to be perfect. The one and only Kyle Anderson is a system tech. He's our head of audio here at Sound Image. He came in and helped out with his amazing talent and patience, and we want to thank him. My dear brother and mentor and leader and best friend, George Edwards. He was kind of the big cheese on the umbrella guy, the overseer, and keeping all the people and the things in place.
King.
He's Big Daddy. That's Big Daddy right there.
Executive producer.
King George.
Here he's known as the lieutenant because I'm the general on this one.
Okay.
But when I come off the air, he goes back to general and I go down to lieutenant. and that's a reasonable thing we worked out over time, and I follow him anywhere. The great Alan Pettibone for being our LD and helping us create the atmosphere and the look that we created.
Fantastic
So
look.
He
magical.
really did a
Yeah.
really
Rich.
great job, and it will be a visual experience you folks will enjoy because Alan helped us with that. The one and only we had Steve Orgain. Now this guy is the caterer to the rock stars. I mean he's catered some of the biggest, best. When you do a show and Steve Orgain of Chef's Touch is on that show, you know you're going to eat well, you're going to have a great time, and you're going to get to sit with a guy who is sweet and kind as they come. He has the distinct, unfortunate and somewhat honor of being the last guy who had dinner with Bill Graham 10 minutes before he perished in his helicopter accident. Steve Orgain is a legend in our business and a great human being. The wonderful and sweet Jackie Corsetti from Sweet Treatments. She helped us provide all the ambiance and then the dressing rooms and the seating and the plants and the look, and just a delightful, sweet, wonderful woman, and we couldn't be more grateful. Thank you, Jackie. And then we had Tony G make us some Italian that was
Great
like what?
Pasta and pizza.
It was really good. We had a couple different caterers on different
We
days.
had 4 pieces.
But I totally had to show West Coaster how you had to fold the pizza.
I know,
and
what's
eat it.
up with that? How do you
That's
not
so
know
weird.
how to eat pizza properly? There's only one way. You fold the pizza.
You know who you are. And it was weird. You should know better.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an embarrassment. We won't
Okay,
name any
I'm
names.
getting
Don't name
trouble.
names. It would be too mean. It would be too mean to yell that out. We had the wonderful, incredible, probably one of the most technically proficient guys in the video game that I've ever met. He's incredible. Jeffrey Linder over there running our video village. And if you could have seen the video village we had up, I mean, it was a couple $1 million of badassery. It was friggin' impressive. Only to be seconded by Scott Twitchell, who's a world famous director for live acts and live shows. He came in for us and did some amazing work. We had wonderful help from the larger than life John Del Rio, a dear friend, and helped us create the staging and the tents and the seating so it could be as close to what we needed to be as COVID compliant. He brought his amazing love and big heart. He's also one of the founding members of the Loving Hands for Stagehands. He's a dear man and a dear friend, and we thank him. And of course the wonderful people at LSV, who helped us with the camera and this video village I mentioned. That's Cameron Brown. That's the great Cameron Brown. We love you, Cameron, as you well know. We miss John Rigney, his partner who recently passed. That was traumatic for all of us. I want to send love out to the whole LSV crew and shop, and they help us make this show happen. We love you guys. Thank you for all that you do. The one and only Paulie Montero from SIR. He helped provide backline. SIR stands for Studio Instrument Rental. These are legends in the business of backline and providing studio services, and Paulie is the best of them. He is we call him Uncle Paulie. He is a family friend of I don't even know how many decades. We love him. He's great. And, of course, he brought his mascot and our good friend Norm, his dog, who we love more than anything. So Norman was here with Scotty. It was wonderful. And the wonderful Kyle Thomas mixing monitors for the whole thing. And my feeling is that went really well, and everybody seemed to be very pleased. Mm-hmm. And so thank you, Kyle Thomas. And last but not least, and I really mean this, a person who's probably put in technically more hours than any one of the people that I just mentioned, maybe other than Greg Price, is Michael Brown. Mm-hmm. Michael Brown has been on this thing from the inception, and he's still working on it. He's been coming in earliest and he's been leaving latest. He's done everything from play drums during the concert for one of the acts that played,
Sorry
running
about that,
camera
Mike.
positions, doing technical support, editing. I cannot state this enough. I think he might have 100 hours in already on this thing. This is how much we care about this project. We want this to succeed. We need this to succeed. We care about what we're doing with this thing. It's important. Please realize that this involves everybody from the Raven Drum Foundation, the Big Glove Benefit people.
You're missing Ross and Skip there, Bubba.
Ross and Skip.
Scotty.
Ross?
No, he said, I think he
I started with Scotty Ross.
started with
Driver.
Scotty.
I put Scotty on top because I want to have a love affair.
know-
I love me some
No,
Scotty.
he's
How
Ross.
about
great.
our driver that just lost a couple of his fingers?
Oh, you want to talk about Ross Reliance?
There you go.
Mr. Ross Reliance. Ross Reliance is a dear friend. He's a trucker, and this guy has hauled some of the biggest shows around the country over the last 30 years. And he unfortunately had an accident a few months back where he actually lost the tips of 4 of his fingers. He was in here.
Flesh wound, man.
Yeah, just a He was in here like a friggin' champion. He
was
in a
great.
very upbeat, sweet. He was trying to make us all feel better about his injury.
No, I know.
He's such a kind soul and such a gentleman, and just a good guy. And then of course, let's not forget Clayton Q came to us, which was, I didn't know what to expect from Clayton. I'd watched his work, but what a sweet guy!
Yeah,
What
he
a
was
both
great.
were,
And
him
Danielle.
decent guy,
Yeah.
and Danielle Bloom,
Yeah.
very talented, very just
Yeah, it
really
was cool.
lovely people.
Yeah.
I enjoyed a great deal being with them and
Me
spending
too.
the time that we did, and it was just. And then there's other artists that are involved, and we'll share that when it's time, and we'll put
You know who we're forgetting?
who we forget.
Did you mention Martha?
Oh, yeah, Martha and Grace.
So-
Martha and
And
Grace.
Grace, right?
I actually, now this is my shame right here. Martha and Grace. I didn't have enough time when I was making this list that you guys came in when I was still preparing this tonight.
Oh, so it's
And-
our fault.
No, it's your fault specifically. I don't know their last names because Martha is Greg Price's
Heckman.
Heckman. It's
Martha
Martha
Heckman,
Heckman, and who's an incredible wardrobe provider and all things backstage. She's. I can't explain this enough. She's Greg Price's wife, and she's actually the rock star in that family. I mean, he works for Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne and done Van Halen and Rage Against the Machine. I mean, he's like done everybody. No. Martha is the badass in that family, and it's as simple as that. Rolling Stones. I mean, her credits of who she's worked for and the
it's
things
crazy.
that she does, and then what she came in and did in here, turning in a glorified warehouse chock full of stuff, and she made it. I think it was just really special.
Yeah.
And she
It
does it with such a kind heart. And
Felt
such
like a real gig, and all the people involved, everybody just made it this wonderful, this special occasion.
Yeah.
I'd always come in with a smile on my face,
Oh, you were
and
wonderful.
everybody was like all into it. It was great.
Well, the feeling I think there was a general camaraderie, a respect, a love that was going through the building. And Martha kind of was, I think, the person who was sewing all these different disciplines and things together to make it kind of seamless.
Yeah.
And so this is from the dressing rooms to the VIP. She just covered so many and worked so hard. Let's not
She did.
forget that.
Oh, yeah.
And then Grace, her I guess one of her dearest friends, a lovely woman. I'm sorry, Grace, your last name escapes
It's
me right
Lee.
now.
Your
Is it
brother
Grace?
chimed in
Is
and,
it Grace Lee? She was a delight. She was here for makeup and helping with wardrobe and helping with Martha.
She
And,
made me look 20 years younger.
wasn't she just a treat?
Yeah,
she
she
was
was
lovely.
so kind and sweet. Just I can't state this enough. It sounds like a lot of fun. Well, if you know me well enough, you know I don't do that. So I'm really saying this from the heart because it's deserved. And it was just one of the best crews of hundreds of different crews I've worked with. These people were here for the right reasons. They felt it. They wanted it. It wasn't about money on our side. It was about doing for others. And I think when you come at a thing from that special place, there's something extra that comes and that happens, and
Yeah.
it speaks to the energy that you mentioned before. And the energy was good here, and I think we've got a good thing in our hands. We'll develop it. We'll edit it to your satisfaction. We'll get all the parts and pieces. We've got a lot of contributing artists that sent in clips and thoughts and very thoughtful moments that we'll share. We'll put it all together. We'll get the boss over here to approve, and it will come out soon. I believe we're shooting for January
23rd.
January 23rd.
On Nugs TV.
On Nugs TV, you will be able to view this thing, and I promise you won't be let down. It's quite the movement. It's quite the experience. I would like to thank my very wonderful and special guests for coming all the way out here, staying a little late with me tonight, Lauren Monroe and Rick Allen. You guys were a treat. It was a delight having you.
Thanks for having us,
Thank you
man.
so much.
Thank
Thanks,
you guys
everybody.
so much.
Thank you.
Now, kids, a little last minute business here. I need you to remember, last night, me and Kyle Thomas here, my cohort and partner in crime, we went out to our friends over at Signal and Noise Podcast, and we hung out with them for a little while. You know, we're always trying to help each other out in these things in this crazy, wacky time.
They got a Kyle too.
They have a guy, Kyle Burnside.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he's the greatest, man. This guy is so fun. He's got a character he does called Randy the Roadie that is
It's
a
hilarious.
I love him. But it's actually a very serious place. Signal Noise Podcast is a sponsored thing by Audix and it's Audix and
Pro Sound Web.
and Pro Sound Web. And they've got 70 or so odd episodes of really great content. It's a podcast you can get pretty much anywhere that you find your podcast. And we did a show with them last night with Kyle, Michael, and Chris. It was very interesting. We were very frank and honest, and it was a good time. We suggest that you reach out to them if you want to brush up on the more technical side of what we do. Some of their guests are the Jim Yakubowskis and Bernie Brodericks and Robert Scoville, some of the badasses in the game, and they're talking ones and zeros and nerding out over there. And they
Did you
really
say
do.
Robert's name correctly?
It was an accident.
Oh my
Bob
God.
Scoville.
There you
really
go.
Annoys him very much. It makes me happy. I don't know why. Bob, you know I love you, baby. And so I did it again. See what I did there? And please check out the page EAW Users Group. If you're an EAW fan, and we certainly are, as you know, being that we're sitting behind a wall of Anya adaptive gear. It's a great page for information and to share experiences and thoughts on the EAW product. It's one of the best manufacturers in America. They do great work. And see a place where there's good, kind words and people sharing kind thoughts. Go over to Big Love Army. They're doing good stuff there as well. Listen, we really, really appreciate you guys. Again, you know, we've thrown some credits on the ass end of this show, which is only new to us for the last couple shows. So I'm still getting used to it, and so it's hard for me to shed my. Apparently, I don't need to do it because we have credits, but I feel like I have to. I need to thank my good friend and collaborator and co-executive producer Michael Brown for all he does, all the work and time he puts into this show. Thank you, Michael. Couldn't do it without you.
Thanks,
and
Mike.
my co-host and dear friend Kyle Thomas, brother. You bring a certain je ne sais quoi to this thing that I lack, and I appreciate you
Vinny, I love you very much, brother.
more than I can say. And I want to do one last quick shout out to my dear friend Charles Siricki. Charlie, you know we love you, my brother. He sends a note to you. Thank you, Lauren and Rick, for all your great works you do, and the great show, Vince and Kyle and Mike. Okay, I could have not read that part, but this is one of the old pros that taught us how to be what we are. And when there's a good moment, I like to say Charlie is one of the best of us. He really is. He's the conscience of rock and roll, and he's a sweet man, and we love him very much, and we hope that he's doing well. Thank you to the infirmities. Thank you to my guests. We will see you again. Next week is Thanksgiving, so we've got a special guest for you. Listen, I ain't missing a day. You guys might run off on me. So Thanksgiving, I got Travis Strait coming in. He's worked with E40, a lot of rap bands, Cypress Hill. He's an incredibly talented, extraordinary human being. Him and his dog Danzo will be in. Check out the show, and if you got nothing to do on a Thursday at 7 p.m., tune in. Check us out. We love it. Thank you, guys. Have a great evening. Good night.